noon to 2, Lunch with Gomez on 103.9 LI News Radio. Of course, you can always follow us on linewsradio.com. Just click on the Listen Live link. And get this, you can join us, 451-1039 to hop on board, 631-451-1039. Also, you can write to me, Gomez, Gomez, at linewsradio.com. On our Newsmaker line, Jonathan Bell, federal employment attorney, big New York City attorney. Jonathan, welcome back to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me. And just for those who don't know, I also have a good location in Long Island as well.
Oh, do you really? Where's that?
In Garden City, 100 Quinton Roosevelt.
By the Coliseum there.
Yep, right around there. You know the building.
Yeah, before you know it. What are they doing with that Coliseum, by the way? I know they lost the Islanders. I don't know what the hell they're going to
Right.
I don't know what they're going to do there besides have, I don't know, Miley Cyrus concerts.
Right.
Or...
Not to throw salt in the wound, but I was at the Nets game last night, and that stadium is gorgeous.
Ooh. Did the Nets pull it off?
They did. It was a close game, and at the end, they beat the Raptors.
You know, speaking of the Nets, I grew up in Nassau County. I remember going to the Nassau Coliseum to watch Dr. J when I was a kid.
Wow. That's tremendous.
And that's in the ABA, I think they called that league.
That's right.
When they had the red, white, and blue ball. I think.
Well, what I wouldn't give to have a professional basketball team here in the Nassau Coliseum, that would be tremendous.
You know, just on a side note, before we tackle this next issue, it irks me why the entire state of New York, we don't have a stadium for the Jets or the Giants. That's
irked me for years too.
I can't. Why we allow New Jersey? First, Jersey wants to claim the Statue of Liberty. Well,
right.
Whatever, wherever it is. Take it. It's yours. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
But the the Jets and the Giants, why they couldn't build Citi Field big enough to house one or both of them?
It's pathetic.
I always thought, being an Islander, I'm thinking, well, why don't they have them out here? I mean, what's so against having them out here? I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind that. I mean, the traffic jams. They said, did you catch that article about the Belmont racetrack? They're trying to put a professional soccer stadium there.
Oh no, I didn't see that one.
Well, at least Belmont, they have the train, the train system. They have they have a train subway stop there, I think, or the Long Island Railroad goes by there or something. So they have easy egress and ingress to the Cross Island Parkway and all that good stuff. I mean, what do they do with the Bell Parkway all year long except for the Belmont Stakes? I don't know. It seems to me to be a complete waste of space there. I don't know. I don't get it.
Right.
And do you know the advantage? I never knew this. Do you know the income advantage from the tax repercussions having a professional team come into your county?
I could imagine.
You have, forget about the sales tax. I had a specialist, a guy who specializes in entertainment tax and all this and athlete tax. Did you know that when a professional team comes into New York State, whether the guy, like say a baseball team, whether the guy actually plays or doesn't play, if he just sits on the bench, that New York State can send him a tax bill for the amount of time he was in the state playing on the team.
I wasn't aware of that. No.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And you know where it all started? It started back with Michael Jordan, back in like 1990 something, when Michael Jordan was playing in California, of course with the Bulls, and out of nowhere, California decides to send him a tax bill based on they took percentage of the time he was here, how much he made in a year, any given year, the amount of days he was here to play basketball. It's of course it's like tens of thousands of dollars. The issue came up, and I had the guy on my program because Eli Manning. It was not Eli Manning. Who's the other one? What's his brother's name? Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was coming in to play, and they factored in that if he wins, he's actually going to lose because the amount of money that he would have won, I think it was like $45,000 if he wins, he would have had to turn around and pay that to, I guess it would have been to New Jersey, not even New York State. So they get an enormous, I never even knew this, aside from all the sales tax and the concessions and all the revenue that way, they also get a lump sum. And think of the baseball teams. If you have a baseball team come in, because they have a large number of players, and we all know how much money they're making, the guy still gets taxed. It's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, you're making me nervous. I do a lot of business outside of this state. I hope I don't start getting tax liabilities from every state I make some money in.
Hey, let me tell you something, man. The IRS, eventually they're going to come knock on your door.
Right.
Well, anyway,
like you said,
yeah.
I don't get nervous too often. But when I get something from the IRS, my heart rate definitely increases a little bit.
Hey, folks, just in case you want to contact Jonathan Bell, he's got a website. It's called JonathanBellLaw.com. JonathanBellLaw.com. Hey, Jonathan, just moving over to this other issue. I find it kind of interesting because I didn't know this was that Marco Rubio presented this. New legislation that says, hey, listen, federal employers, the federal government should no longer require for certain jobs, for certain positions, shouldn't require a 4-year college degree. But yet, look to some other experience that the person has as far as being qualified for a certain job. What's your take on this?
I think it's a great idea. Essentially, when you apply for a government job, most people go to usajobs.com, and there are requirements listed for the jobs that you apply. And if it requires a 4-year degree, those that don't have it, who might otherwise be the best qualified candidate, are automatically excluded from something called the best qualified list, the BQL.
Yeah.
So really, I'm for the best man or woman getting the position, of course.
I agree with you on that. I totally concur.
I don't know if the legislation he's proposing hurts somebody with a 4-year degree. I don't think it does, and I would be against that. I mean, at the end of the day, these are taxpayers' money, and you want to make sure that you get the most qualified person in the position, as whether through work skills or through experience or through some other trade. Education, then I'm all for the best person getting the job.
Well, I'll tell you something, Jonathan. One issue that comes up from time to time is what's going on our college campuses. I mean, what type of experience, what type of training, what type of education is actually going on? I mean, I don't know how old you are. I'm 51. I graduated, back in '84 from my undergrad down at the University of Houston, and I'll admit there was enough partying. I mean, the legal age of drinking kept on following me, so it was right behind me. It was I think 18 or 19 when and sure enough I was at that age, and then in college it bumped up to 21 by the time I was 21. So I was free all the way through, but I was never a binge crazy. I never liked to lose control, so I didn't fancy getting drunk. But however, on today's campuses, it seems, and again, this is just my impression, it seems like every other day you turn around and you see what's going on college campuses. For example, Duke University. This girl who decides on her own to partake or undertake a pornography profession in order to pay for her degree at Duke. And let me tell you, Duke is no slouch university. But, it certainly makes you wonder what's going on.
Right. And I'm probably in the minority, but I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, if she's there, she pays her bills, she's not doing anything illegal, she's learning, and she's okay with it. I mean, it's not illegal. I don't think they should be able to throw her out because of that. But then again, I understand she wants to be a lawyer. If I get her resume a few years from now, I'll probably think twice about hiring her.
Is that true? You don't know. Yeah, you just, yeah.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, I could assure you that I would not. I would not hire her. I mean, people who
there's some things on the resume. It's bad enough you got things floating around on Facebook. There's some things on a resume you just don't want, and that's
right.
Pornography star.
That's correct, of course.
But again,
people have to live with their decisions. They don't necessarily believe that she should be kicked out of school. Again, she's not doing anything illegal. She's paying for her way through college, and most people don't agree with the way she's doing it, but that's what she chooses, and she has to live with that, because when she goes out and she applies for jobs, it's certainly going to hinder her ability to get something.
Well, it also raises the issue, Jonathan Bell, is We see from time and time again, especially here on Long Island, you've got a lot of kids coming home from a 4-year degree, spending 4 years at college. They have about $100,000 or more in debt. Usually by some by the federal government, so the taxpayers are footing the bill to a certain extent, and then they find themselves that the degree is not enough to get them a job to support not only living expenses but also the loan that they're carrying.
Sure.
Because a lot of, we were there. I mean, a lot of students, when you get out of high school, you have grandiose ideas of what's going to happen when you get out of undergraduate school. You think you're going to land this great job, the job that you've always wanted in a profession you always wanted. And as well as I do, more often than not, it doesn't happen that way.
Sure. I went to the University of Albany. I graduated after 4 years. And I was essentially unemployable. I was working renting trucks, and there's certainly nothing wrong with renting trucks. I just didn't think I'd be doing that after I graduated Albany. So from there, I basically said, well, I got to do something else. So that's really was the impetus for me going to law school.
Where'd you end up going to law school?
I went to Brooklyn Law School, and the scary thing is there's plenty of people who still don't have a job after graduating law school.
That's right.
I put in an ad for a paralegal, and I have lawyers applying for positions because the job market right now is horrible. Which,
again, it goes back to the original issue, Jonathan Bell, in my opinion, is, what, some people, maybe the college degree and the college experience isn't for everybody. It doesn't necessarily bring the best out of everybody. It doesn't necessarily give you the opportunity to hone in on skills of what you truly have a passion for. I mean, and as I've said on this program, some of my wealthiest friends never got a college degree.
Sure.
But yet, it kept the fire in the belly. It kept them up at night. How are they going to support their family? How are they going to get on in life? How are they going to succeed in any type of profession? Sometimes, and some people may argue, that actually not having a degree, not having that quote-unquote safety net, makes them work harder.
Sure. And that's right. They should really look at each position. I mean, there possibly is some positions that they need to leave that as a requirement, but if it was just used back in the day, and they just leave it and don't change it, they should evaluate each position and delete it where necessary to give other people an opportunity to work who are more qualified. Especially today with the internet, I mean, you could get your education on your own. There's a lot of information available to everybody.
Yeah, I have a friend. I knew somebody who got her doctorate in library science, essentially over the internet.
Right.
But she still, she still has her PhD.
Right. Correct.
It says here, according to this news article talking about Marco Rubio's proposed legislation here, he introduced the Alternative Qualifications for Federal Employment Act. And let's see, bill would direct the Office of Personnel Management to designate certain positions throughout the government to be filled by applicants with, quote, alternative high education credentials. He says, and I quote, today there are an infinite number of ways for people to learn and master trades, including many low-cost online opportunities. Unfortunately, Rubio says, our current higher education model is based on a broken accreditation system that favors established institutions while blocking out the new providers that are more affordable and accessible to many Americans. I really, I think there's a need for this.
Sure, and they're going right, just so everyone knows, OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, is like the human resources arms for all administrative agencies. So regardless if you're in the FAA, FBI, or USPS, you have to go to OPM to deal with retirement benefits and things of that nature. So in case anyone's curious why OPM.
Yeah, it says here the bill would require OPM to select at least 25 positions in 10 different occupational fields to participate in the program for each of the next 5 years. OPM would then report back to Congress on the program's progress. Something tells me, they might be quite successful if they proceed with this program. I mean, again, if you take a high school graduate coming out of high school, if they're, articulate, and they just don't, a lot of people just don't feel comfortable in the educational environment. They just don't feel comfortable being tested. They don't feel comfortable being lectured to. They'd rather they're kind of like a hands-on type person.
Right, and the beauty of it is for federal employees, what they do is, like I said, they apply, they get on a best qualified list, Then there's a selection panel that actually conducts interviews of 3 or 4 people for the position, and then there's a selecting official. So there's a lot of people involved in the selection decision. Now, the beauty of this is the fact that when someone applies, someone who otherwise would be disqualified at the very beginning now at least gets to go to the panel, and the panel can make a decision as to whether this person is more qualified than the person who might have a higher education. And I think it's great. Like I said, it's taxpayer money. You want to make sure that everybody gets the bang for the buck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think it's a great idea. It's a great concept. See if it works. Jonathan, I want to thank you for joining us today on the program. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. It's good to have you on the program once again, and I'm sure it's not going to be long to have you on again and again. Experienced attorney, an Islander, and there you have it. We'll be back with more, with a wrap-up of today's issues right after this.
Do you feel like you're paying too much